welcome to this, and this is my review of Judgment Day, which took place earlier tonight. I was thinking about doing this tomorrow, maybe watching the pay-per-view tomorrow, just didn't really feel like watching this pay-per-view, but I did, so I'll do the review tonight. I know a lot of people have been asking if I'm going to do a response to Bill and Doug. I am, but it's probably not going to be what a lot of you think it's going to be. Actually, I'll probably put it up tomorrow. It will be me kind of doing what they did, because I'm not going to do the childish crap that they did on their video, but kind of doing I'm going to do how I would book Slammiversary, and go from there, just to kind of show you why it is I get so frustrated with TNA, because a lot of the stuff that they don't do is kind of what irks me a lot, because anyways. And I'll probably do that tomorrow. So just so everyone will stop asking me, yes, I'm going to do a review. I'm going to do a response. It's not going to be probably the response Bill and Doug want, or that a lot of other people want, but it's going to be the response I want to do, because that's the response I want to do. And anyways, I'll get more into that tomorrow. But anyways, to the pay-per-view, WWE's Judgment Day, which took place earlier tonight. Probably a lot of people aren't going to agree with this review to some degree. But because there was one match I definitely liked a lot, that I know a lot of people are it's going to kind of split people, just kind of how you look at it, and I'll get into that when I get to it. But we opened the show up, oddly enough, with John Cena versus JBL. I probably would not have put this match here. I probably would have opened the night up, because I think it would have woken the fans up a little bit more, to have the Jeff Hardy versus MVP match. Since that was kind of a surprise match, I think it would have worked a lot better than sticking it where they stuck it. But they may have had reasons for that. But John Cena versus JBL, this was definitely an old school match, and I know a lot of people today do not like that. I do, however. But that said, I did kind of get bored with it at some point, and I think the ending, I shouldn't say I didn't get bored with it, but the ending really hurt this match for me, because it basically came out of nowhere. I think the ending needed a little bit more setup. That a lot of people might think that's being nitpicky, but if you go back and you look at a match where, if John Cena had tried the FU a couple times and not been able to hit it, and then finally been able to hit it, or one with a roll up or something like that, I think it would have worked better. In my mind, I would have enjoyed it probably a little bit better, but it still was an okay match. It wasn't anything horrible or disgusting or anything like that. Nothing on this card really was. But I'd only give it 2.25 stars, just because I think the ending kind of hurt it. Miz and Morrison versus Kane and CM Punk for the tag titles was next. This was, again, this was okay, not great. I think if they would given this more time, this would have been a lot of fun. I think it could have been a pretty good match, but they didn't give it much time, which is kind of unfortunate. CM Punk, it looks like they're maybe finally letting him go out there and do a little bit more of what he can do and show what more he can do. He looked really good in this match, in my opinion. Everyone else, was there, of course. A lot of people probably aren't going to like this match as well, because Punk took the pin. I really don't care. He has Money in the Bank. He could, which means he could basically keep losing, but he has Money in the Bank. As long as he keeps Money in the Bank, I'm fine with him jobbing, because he can still cash in the Money in the Bank and still win. He doesn't have to keep winning because he has Money in the Bank, so I'm okay with that. But still, this was okay. It was fun, in my opinion. I had a fun time watching that match, and that led to HBK versus Chris Jericho. This, in my opinion, was a great match. Match of the night, without question. Good storytelling, good everything. I was really into this. I think the fans were kind of into this. Just not as good as their WrestleMania match that they had. It'd be very, very hard, I think, to top that. But this was good. I think they did a really good job of just doing the match and the match in general, and kind of just setting everything up for what will happen later, which would definitely be HBK versus Batista, which I am looking somewhat forward to seeing. From there, we go to Mickie James versus Melina versus Beth Phoenix, and a triple threat match for the WWE title, women's title, that is. And this surprised me a little bit. Again, they didn't give this as much time as I would have liked to have seen. I think if they would have given this match more time, it could have been really good as well. They had a really good flow going into it. Not a lot of great spots, but there was one. The spot of the match definitely was Beth Phoenix having both Mickie James and Melina in a standing backbreaker at the same time. Very similar to uh, now I can't think. Now I can think Eric Young, doing the double Death Valley Driver, which to me always looks cheesy, and this for some weird reason didn't look as cheesy. Maybe because Beth is booked as kind of a monster, so it looked like kind of a monster move, and Eric Young doing kind of a monster move just doesn't look right. But whatever. I thought this looked a little bit better, and another okay match, 2.5 stars. Then we have Edge versus Undertaker, and I think this is really going to depend on if you like this match on the ending. I know what you thought of the ending. Before the ending of the match, this match was great, without question. This would have been, in my opinion, match of the night if it wasn't for the ending. But we did get kind of a no finish with a count out. Undertaker kind of winning by count out, and then Vicky Guerrero comes out, says that the match basically the title is still going to be vacant because the title's not going to change hand on a count out, which of course leads to One Night Stand. Now a lot of people of course aren't going to necessarily like that, and I understand that. However, if Edge had won and then we had another Edge versus Undertaker match at One Night Stand, I would have been kind of indifferent about it. Due to the way they did this, I care about it more. I actually think I'm more interested in seeing where they're going to take it this way than if Edge had won or if Undertaker had won and then Edge got another title shot, which would have been kind of stupid. So to me, this is the best way they could have done it. And I'm not saying that as over analyzing it. I'm just saying that even if I was a fan, I would have much rather have seen it like this. I think it makes more sense like this than it would if you had done it another way. So I still didn't like the ending, and I wouldn't give this. I wouldn't call this great. I still think it was very, very good. I would still give it 3 3/4 stars, just because I am more interested now in seeing their next match than I would be if it had ended another way. So there you go. Um, Then we got the surprise match of the night, MVP versus Jeff Hardy. Probably not much of a surprise. There was rumors we were going to get this match about 2 hours before the pay-per-view. They had a good 2.5 star match. Went out there. Jeff Hardy got to go out there and keep kind of the hot streak that he's going on. They're definitely going to push him some more since coming back. We could debate that forever, but kind of fun to see. The fans definitely were. Jeff Hardy got probably the second biggest pop next to Undertaker. So there you go. Then we had the main event, Triple H versus Randy Orton, and this really, in my opinion, hurt the card. I think even if they just gone out there and put on a very good match, I think this would be a great pay-per-view. But the fact they really didn't deliver, I give this 3 stars. This was slow in some points. It wasn't as brutal as you would hope it would be, or even as they had set it up to be. This was a lot like a lot of the matches we see at Lockdown, and I'm not saying this to bash TNA. I'm saying this just as more of a reference where they have the cage, but even though they use the cage, it's not as brutal as you would hope it would be. It was very much like that. It really didn't work. There was some good spots, and there was some good action, and there was some good moments in the match, but it wasn't to the extent that I think a lot of people would hope. I'd give it 3 stars, which for a cage match is kind of disappointing. Particularly when it's the only gimmick match, really gimmick match. You had the triple threat match, but I wouldn't really call that as so much of a gimmick match as this on the card, and it really underperformed. I don't know whose fault it was. I wouldn't even try to guess. It just because these two can work very well together, particularly in gimmick matches, and they just didn't tonight. I don't know. Maybe they were both having an off night. Who knows? But it just did not deliver, and in my opinion, it hurt the card somewhat. I still think it's a good pay-per-view, just barely, but not a great pay-per-view. I'd just give it a 7.0. But I wouldn't recommend getting the replay. I don't think it's worth $40. If you want to see it, I would say wait until the pay-per-view or until the DVD came out. I could see the DVD being a little bit more worth the money. I probably still wouldn't recommend it either, but definitely, you know, I would put it, I didn't think too much of the Royal Rumble. I would definitely put that on par with this. So, near the lower of the barrel. Not a bad pay-per-view, but and I still think it's good, but just not as good as it could have been. So, there we go. And with that, I'm out. Have a good one, folks. Later.